Hello and welcome to Chuck's Diecast Car and Model Reviews. Today we are taking a look at this very cool car. This is the Sauber Mercedes C9. This particular model is built by Exoto and is in a 1/18 scale. This is a car that's part of probably the best era of endurance racing back in the late 80s and early 90s. I suppose the only other comparable era might be the early 70s, with the Porsche 917 and Ferrari 512, that sort of era. But back in the late 80s and early 90s, we had stuff like this Sauber Mercedes. We had the Jaguar XJR14, we had the Porsche 962, and the grids were very large and very full. And back then, Group C and endurance racing was almost as popular as Formula One racing was, really. Now, for those of you who don't know much about the Sauber Mercedes C9, the company is Sauber, was founded by a guy by the name of Peter Sauber, who ended up also forming his own Formula One team, which still exists in a way as the Alfa Romeo team. But he first started off in endurance racing, and what happened here was that he ended up doing a technical partnership with Mercedes. In fact, this AEG company was actually funded by Mercedes to develop engines. So in a way, this was almost a Mercedes factory team in all but name. And it was a heck of a car. I mean, this model here represents the Sauber that won the 1,000 kilometers of Spa in 1988. The following year, it gained full Mercedes sponsorship and also gained its beautiful silver Mercedes livery and won Le Mans then. I believe that season it went virtually undefeated. So this was a great car. This car is one of the fastest cars ever to race at Le Mans. It reached a top speed of about 248 miles an hour on the Mulsanne Straight. And I believe this may be the reason why they put two chicanes on the Mulsanne Straight, because it was just, and also I believe a Peugeot at the time were just getting too fast for the, safety reasons, basically. This car had a 5-liter twin turbocharged V8, which had up to 850 horsepower roughly. But, for endurance racing, they did detune it a bit as well. And if you'll notice here, the two drivers who are driving the car are Mauro Baldi and Stefan Johansson. I know that Johansson was a Formula One driver, and I believe Baldi was as well. Johansson being most famously a Ferrari driver back in the mid-'80s. Well, let's just go ahead and take a look at this model here. Again, this is a great, very well done model. I have a couple of Exoto models, and I do quite like them a lot. So first of all, taking a look at the side here, you can see the great decals and graphics on there. I don't know how they managed to do such complex decals, particularly for a model that's probably I don't know, maybe 20 years old. But they did a great job, and it looks really good. Now, when you take a look at the wheels here, you can see, first of all, nicely branded Michelin tires. A nice job on the brake rotors, as well as the calipers. And this exhaust outlet looks very much in scale and is quite well done. When you take a look at the front here, again, it looks really good from this aspect. You may notice here that it looks like it has 4 headlights, and for the long races, you know, the 24-hour races, it did have 4 headlights. But if you take a closer look at this model here, you'll see that the inside headlights are actually blanking plates. This, you know, would probably save a little bit of weight, and for day races, you know, like 1,000 kilometers there of Spa, 4 headlights weren't necessary because you know, all you needed was a pair of headlights to flash the slower vehicles in the lower classes that you were passing. Now, taking a look here underneath the front cowling here, you can see good detail here. First of all, for the intake runner for the brake cooling, that's actual screen there, and then also this tubing here is actual flexible tubing for the ducting as well. And you can see also that they did a nice job of creating the front suspension there too. So excellent work. And you can also see the steering arm and everything in there too. So very good. Okay, and taking a look at the rear of the car, a very purposeful rear end to this car. And also, this kind of shows you that aerodynamics were still, you know, a concept that wasn't quite as refined as they have in modern, say, Formula One. You can see, you know, the suspension arm right there in the middle of the rear diffuser. And stuff like that. It's not the largest diffuser either. And so, even though, you know, like this rear wing, I believe it created something like 5,000 pounds of downforce, plus this, you know, rear diffuser. It could have been more. It's just that you know, they just didn't have the the technological or aerodynamic understanding. Now you can see here also the detail on the taillights is very nice with the chrome surround, and the, you know, you can see the screw representation of the screw heads. The rain light back here looks okay, although it has a couple of pegs in there which kind of spoil it. And then underneath here is the air jack, so they could just use compressed air and push the car up when it was in the pits. And of course, the highlight of this model here, in my opinion, is underneath the hood here, because this Mercedes V8 just looks fantastic here. So let's just go ahead and take a look at that here, okay? All right, so that is beautiful. Okay, you can see the you know, the air box and the intake trumpets. You can see the plug wires Here's the part of the rear suspension with an actual spring there. All this detailing in here looks really, really good. Definitely no complaints about this engine here. So excellent work by Exoto on this engine here. Okay, and also they did a nice job here on the interior. Doors open well here. And I'll open both doors just so you can get a better look at things here. This will take a minute here because the actual panel fit is really, really good here too. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this interior. It's right-hand drive. I like the no step here. I assume this is actually a fuel tank, and it looks like due to the coloration it's made of Kevlar, and I don't know how you cannot get into this car without stepping on that part of the car because the sill is just enormous. Okay, let me just lift it up here. By the way, look at the inside of the door. There's nothing to this door, which of course is to be expected with a race car. There is the nice representation of the sliding window for ventilation. You can see in here the steering wheel. Notice it doesn't have any controls on the steering wheel other than looks like there is an R button for radio. That D button is probably for the drinks bottle. And there's the Mercedes badge there in the center. Notice also that it is still a manual transmission. This is the late 80s after all, and they didn't develop paddle shift and so on until the early 90s in Formula One. The seats and the seat belts are very well done here also, if I can get them in focus. And although there isn't much to see on the other side here, there you go. So everything looks really, really good in there. And I'm not sure what those red things are in the footwell, so don't ask me what they are. Anyway, that is it for the Exoto model. And just to let you know, I thought this was kind of neat, but I was at Walmart just the other day, and they have the Hot Wheels version of this too. The exact same car, except it's number 61 instead of number 62. I don't know who drove the 61 car. And the other cool thing about this one is that it also has an engine bay. So if you want to get a little teeny tiny version of this, you can do that as well. So anyway, that is the Sauber Mercedes C9 by Exoto for you. I think it's an excellent model, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So if you did, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Have a great day.